It's truly astonishing how easy it is to get people riled up about things that, in the grand scheme of things, seem like small distractions.
Not only is she positive and does she bring hope and optimism, but as a black woman, the product of a mixed marriage, she will inspire millions of people throughout the world. Our credibility as a nation, that we would be able to allow, our country is so great that we're allowed a woman like that to become the commander-in-chief, the president of the United States. That is going to send a powerful message all over the world. People like Vladimir Putin are going to say, hey, wait a minute. These guys, they truly have a democratic country. They truly are representative. They truly are fighting for all their people.
Not to be too harsh on the American public, but seriously, we've got an open border, a country teetering on bankruptcy, and everyone's attention is locked on identity politics freak shows. Are you kidding me? And then we have this magical belief that our fiat currency, the almighty dollar, is somehow different from every other failed currency in history. Why? Because it's backed by the full faith and credit of the US government. Well, I don't know about you, but that really puts my mind at ease. Never mind that, according to the Federal Reserve's own data, the dollar's purchasing power has plummeted. It now buys you about 3 cents worth of goods compared to a century ago. But hey, who's counting? The real question is, how long until it hits zero? In October, nations will be gathering, not to admire their stack of dollars, but to figure out how to trade without using them. But don't worry, they can't take away our printing press. Proof? Nearly 40% of all US dollars in circulation were printed in 2020 and 2021 alone, about $6.5 trillion. Clearly, we have the unparalleled ability to print faster than the world can produce. So here's the brilliant strategy from Washington's finest minds. If you don't cooperate, we'll stop buying your products. That'll show them. I'm sure nations will tremble at the thought of losing out on our 3 cents per dollar purchasing power. Nothing bends global economies to their knees quite like threatening them with the loss of rapidly devaluing paper. And if that doesn't work, we've got Jared Bernstein, Biden's chief economic advisor, to explain how money works.
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing. But there is no question that the government prints money, and then it uses that money to I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
After hearing him, I'm forever enlightened about how the world will desperately cling to the US dollar for its very survival. I think we should broadcast his wisdom to all nations flirting with the idea of joining BRICS. If anyone can convince them of the futility of abandoning the US dollar, it's Jared Bernstein. I'm an optimist, though, especially when it comes to zero-sum economies, much like our dollar, which seems to be on a direct path to zero value. Like Bernstein, I too believe in the power of the dollar, even as it plummets. How will the global economy function if we stop printing dollars and refuse to let them trade in our precious currency? They'll simply collapse, right? But that's not all. If they don't fall in line, we can deny them our great cultural exports, like gender-affirming care. They'll never know the joy of boys becoming girls and vice versa. We'll also withhold our world-class education on systemic racism, woke ideology, and DEI training. How will they possibly survive without our visionaries guiding them?
Woke kindergarten founder Key Gross said in a statement that the United States has no right to exist.
I believe the United States has no right to exist. I believe every settler colony who has committed genocide against native peoples, against indigenous people, has no right to exist.
If we push hard enough, we might just achieve that goal of reducing the dollar to zero in the near term. Why wait? Then, and only then, we can switch to digital currency. And let's be honest, the brilliant minds that led us here will surely manage this new system flawlessly, controlling the economy for the benefit of those less fortunate, like the ones born without functioning brains. American exceptionalism has never shone brighter. Just look at our education system, bolstered by open borders for non-English-speaking impoverished migrants eager to assimilate into the American culture.
Part of what Mayor Eric Adams has called a crisis overwhelming New York. More than 110,000 new arrivals in need of food, housing, and education.
We're getting no support on this national crisis.
And he says more migrants keep arriving, as many as 10,000 every month.
Or the wealth we've created by printing money. Who needs to make anything? We have a printing press. And let's not forget the progressive strides in self-awareness as we champion the mutilation of children in the name of gender identity.
Gender-affirming care is both medically necessary and actually life-saving, especially for transgender youth. In his first State of the Union address, President Biden announced a strategy to address our national mental health crisis. He laid out a vision to transform how mental health is understood, perceived, accessed, treated, and integrated in and out of healthcare settings. So we really want to base our treatment and to affirm and to support and empower these youth, not to limit their participation in activities and sports, and even limit their ability to get gender affirmation treatment in their state.
When history looks back on this period, it won't be labeled as a collapse. It'll be hailed as a renaissance, a time when the absurd became reality, and our media, the true architects of enlightenment, focused us on issues designed to blind us from the destruction all around. They'll say, this was the era when importing poverty and exporting American exceptionalism brought about a utopia few would dare to vision. If you're looking at the GDP, half of which comes from a government producing nothing of value, paired with a declining purchasing power, a shrinking labor force in relation to the population at large, and waves of impoverished migrants pouring in, then yes, our best days are surely ahead of us. And if you agree with that last statement, congratulations. You're not just an audience member, you're a volunteer in this economic circus, cheering for the grand finale, where the dollar takes its final bow.